Hello and welcome to the next episode of podcast FEMME OCCULTE, which is the podcast about Czech magic, mysticism and witchcraft. This is, as you can see, the first English episode recorded in the year 2024. So it's going to be very, very special. This year is the year of the dragon, according to Chinese horoscope, which means we can expect transformation to be growing and we are gonna get wealthy and maybe rich, because speaking of numerology, the number 8 is going to guide us, and it also means harmony and transformation and material wealth and richness. So today we are going to talk about plants and memories and so on, and my guest will be our special and lovely Belladonna, who is the founder of the whole project FEMME OCCULTE. So hello. Thank you for coming here.
Hello, thank you for having me again.
So, how did you enjoy New Year's celebrations? Do you celebrate the New Year?
Yeah, I would say that with my family, we are celebrating quite traditionally. With our friends, we are playing like board games and chatting. Not really about the year before or the plans for the following year. We are rather just enjoying the time all together, and our kids as well. Anyway, I also celebrate a bit in a witchy way, but I would situate that more towards Imbolc. Imbolc is to me more like a start of the cycle that is a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, I understand, because like this New Year, it feels to me like midnight because it's celebrated on midnight, but in bulk it feels like the early morning, same as the spring issue of FEMME OCCULTE. So as I mentioned, the main topic would be morning. So can you give us some kind of a teaser to the spring issue?
This year we are going to focus on the daily times or parts of the day and night. So the very first issue, the spring issue, will be focused on morning. And that means connected to morning rituals in different traditions, different practices, and from different approaches. I asked all the people in the team, all the authors, to send me a little bit about their approach towards morning rituals and if they are connected to spring to them or if they are in any way a bit similar. So this is like the very basis, and some of us are also writing about beings of morning, about father, son, about Jutřenka or Jitřenka, which is a morning star in the Slavic tradition. So that's all focused and connected with the morning. Also, incense is focused on like very uplifting sense, where Rhoda writes on this topic. So that's one big part that we are focusing on. And the other one then is self-care. We decided for this year, based on the texts that we received, that self-care should be and will be a big part of our focus in 2024 as well.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think I see some articles about self-care like everywhere, but most of the people I know don't do it because it's not their priority. So I'm wondering if you want to maybe change this approach.
Definitely, because I believe that we all have this idea of that our texts will inspire people to approach their lives differently, to approach their practice differently, and to actually do the practice. And among that practice is definitely some self-care, because it's the basis of magic, to know yourself, to be able to use your own magic and energy.
Why is it so important to you?
To me, the very basis, the very core of functional working magic is to know your needs. And when you do some basic self-care at least, and you research your soul, let's say, you are getting that way in touch with your own energy and your own spiritual goals, or even a material goal or other types of goals, but basically the things that your higher self, let's say, really wants. Not like things that might be like shown in front of you and stepping into your life, but just leading you astray. It's much more when you love yourself and you are able to care about yourself and to practice actively self-care and taking it on the daily basis, working on it on the daily basis, you can this way empower your magic and also follow the goals that are not just, let's say, from some dreamland or like inserted ideas.
Well, some of you authors are also therapists, so is it somehow different when a witch does self-care and when a therapist has some techniques? Are they the same or different?
I would say there are definitely some differences, but loads of witches and loads of witchcraft is drawing from psychology, mainly from Jung's types of therapy, and working with the shadow work, which we are having in like 2 different approaches in our spring issue and the following issues for this year. So Jung plays a huge role also with his approach to itching or tarot and so on. And some of the therapists are using some techniques like meditation and other relaxations, visualizations that could be called a bit like new age / witchy. I'd say there are definitely some parts that are mixed, that are inspired by each other, but there are also some approaches that are completely different.
How do you yourself practice self-care?
Like I practice self-care on a daily basis, and I'm also talking about it in the magazine, even though in just like a short parts of it. And I'm talking there exactly about the rituals that I'm making. Some of them are very common, normal rituals, like having a drink and watching the sunrise. And then over the year, we will get to how I approach the midday, sunset and midnight. So some of these rituals are really just rituals of the type of brushing your teeth. But then there are also more spiritual parts of my practice. So on daily basis, I'm working with my altar. I just stand by it and I use some different objects time to time. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just feel the divine present or some kind of divinity present. Sometimes I meditate a little bit. Sometimes I work with some empowering of some tools. So there is like a daily short practice by the altar in my self-care program as well, because it's a very calming moment when I can just like come to myself.
And I know there are also some new authors coming to the garden of Femme Occult. So can you introduce them?
Yeah, so among our new plants, our new seedlings are Calypso, who is one of the authors connecting us again with shadow work, because I wrote on shadow work in the very first Liber Magicae, in the very first year of Femme Occult, very abstractly, in very like atmospherical sense. And this year I'm focusing more on like a practical approach. And she's as well focusing on the practical approach, but from a different perspective. She works a lot with underworld, or let's say the lower world, I would call it. And I'm working from the perspective of tarot. So we are the two who are working on the shadow work for this year. And she already started with her first chapter last year in the winter issue. Then there's you creating these beautiful podcasts and also their transcription into the text. So we can be looking forward to the talk with Taxus, with Triticum, and with Papaver, who are our long-term authors. So the new author is approaching other authors, asking them how are they keeping and how is the garden. So I find that really, really lovely. And then we have one more author who's coming from Great Britain, and that's Salix. And she's writing for us like atmospherical entrances into the feelings and into the emotions of morning for the spring issue, midday for summer issue, and so on. So she focuses on like rituals and stories and chants connected to morning time.
Thank you. And on the other hand, which chapters are continuing? Because Femme Occult has chapters about, for example, incense or some plants or something like that, which are every year the same and they are continuing over and over.
We definitely have some lines that are continuing with their authors. So Rhoda, who's with me in the project since the very beginning, she is continuing her incense chapters and also the recipes, because recipes became just so popular among our readers that we're gonna give them up. And she always has some inspiration, so it's always like nice to have something very yummy as well for our readers, because as you know, we don't focus only on the perspective from like eye perspective from the side, but we also focus on the scent. So all the issues are having some specific scent, and the taste is there this way kind of as well, next to the touch to hold the hands. Yeah, so this way we are like trying our best now, having podcasts for hearing as well. And a little bit of Spotify is there as well with our favorite music to create. Anyway, after Rhoda, we have their Papa Ver, who is with us also nearly since the beginning. So she writes on Kabbalah. She continues her Kabbalistic chapters. And then Tritikum talks about Druidry. He always touches the main topic and connect it with Druidry. So this year, he will write, or he writes about different parts of the body from Druidry perspective, from Druidic tradition. And it's like a 3 cauldrons plus some other information. And he's writing also about plants. So that's also another continuing line of our chapters. And then finally, Taxus, she leads us through the fetchcraft and through different beings that can be helpful to us in magic. So she is continuing with that kind of chapters as well, even though it's a little bit shifting this year. And Magwort, she will continue in that kind of like Polish traditional magic.
Thank you. And what about the ritual packages?
Yeah, well, ritual packages will stay as well, for sure, because one of our main focuses is still to help people to practice, to get inspired by our texts, but then try it on their own and figure what works best for them. So we are bringing back one little part of the ritual packages, which we did the year before last year, so 2022. And that year we focused on 4 different goddesses, and this year we will focus on 4 different beings connected to the different parts of the day. So there will be like a little card of the morning star or Yitchenka for the spring ritual package. Then people can be looking forward for some like herbal stuff as well connected to the chapters that we are writing about, and definitely more is there coming in the packages.
Well, and if I wanted to work directly with the authors, is there some workshops or courses possible? Because I think yes, and I think there will be more.
Yeah, we started like a little side project last autumn, which was, let's say, options to work a bit more closely with some specific authors. So if somebody loves the work and text, for example, by Taxus, or by Calypso, or by me, Belladonna, then they can go to our website and check for the courses and consultations. And there have some like work which is more connected to single authors of our magazine. At the moment, though, most of it is in Czech language. For example, my courses are only in Czech language, and Taxus at the moment is doing some kind of reading from runes, and she's like incredible in it. So I really hope to be able to convince her to start an English version as well. But first, let her keep it in her first language.
Yeah, I agree. I love the idea that there is the podcast for the ears and the smell for your nose, and for your mouth there are recipes. Text is for your mind. So there are also the eyes. So they are for art. So who is going to be the artist of spring issue?
In the spring issue, I asked again one of the Czech artists to send us a little bit of her work, or a few lovely pictures of her work. And this time it's kousek země, which means like a piece of earth, but in the same time you can read it in a piece given from me, or gifted from me to you. So it's like a little riddle in the Czech language, and I find it really nice. And yes, it's a piece of earth, so we could have asked first for these pictures and for this art, which is like a jewelry art with loads of plants. We could ask for it for the winter issue, but the vibe is so very spring-ish that I decided to go and to ask the author already for the spring issue. Yeah, and she agreed. She was happy about the idea. So I'm quite happy that we can use her work to adorn our page and add it to our chapters.
That's interesting, and her work is very nice, and I'm looking forward to have her here in the podcast. And I'm curious, why did you choose the topic, like the times of the day for this whole year? What's the reason? Why came this idea?
For each year, we have some specific topic, like a concluding topic, which we divide to 4 to 5 pieces. Sometimes there's few more chapters for Liber Magicae exclusively from some of the lines. But with this year's topics, I probably had the idea already like in March or April 2023. Because I was writing the stories of princesses in tarot, and that kind of slowly already led me to some kind of imagining the atmosphere in the card and of the element. And that kind of led me already to the different daily times. And as well, Magward was writing about morning star and evening star in her practice and in the Slavic practice. So I decided that that could be a good idea. And we are meeting as a whole team, let's say once a month online, even though with Rhoda we are talking nearly daily and calling every week. But yeah, I suggested it on one of our meetings and it was very welcomed, and plenty of people had like, oh yeah, I can definitely approach my practice regarding the daily times. And some of them are already like giving the feedback of, oh wow, now I realize that this is for me like a morning practice actually. Something that I actually connect with this time of the day, even though I never thought that I'm working that way, that this is just a morning thing for me. Yep. So I'm very happy that it's again helping us to understand our practice as well and bringing it to other people to make the magic, add the magic to their everyday lives.
Yeah, and you did some research about connecting the daytime rituals to the season rituals, starting with spring and its similarities to morning. Well, I know what I wrote to you, so what did you found out? Are they connected with other people practice too, or rather not?
Well, I would say that rather not, which was kind of surprising for me. But in the end of the day, even my answers were like, oh yeah, the mornings are the most beautiful in the autumn, though we are talking about it for spring. And then for summer, I already had these ideas of the mirroring of summer and winter and midnight and midday. So some of us tried to connect some of those rituals that they are performing in the morning to spring or to some other season. But in general, we figured that for us, it's not the main thing that it would be connected. I would rather connect it over like a more correspondence system, which is also, again, bringing me to that tarot princesses, because there is always a feeling or attunement to the element, which is like, let's say that on spring, we always write the ideas of air or inspiration of air as the element. And from tarot is that then swords. And with those two is then connected spring, but also morning and dawn. So yeah, this way, kind of through that feeling and atmosphere connected to correspondences and symbolism, we got to the line. But when we look at it from the other perspective of the ritual practice, if we do this specific rituals only in spring and they are very similar to the morning rituals, I would say no, not really. There are new beginnings with both of them, but both of it feels completely different because it's a daily or yearly basis.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's the same. Can I ask what are your morning rituals?
My morning rituals are very much connected to observing the sun waking up. I very much enjoy like a minute of peace with any kind of drink, in the kitchen watching the sunrise. And that very much inner peace and quietness of the outside world when everybody is just slowly waking up and is not yet talking to other people and planning everything. So that will be like a very calming first part, but then there is also right away the planning part. Yeah, for me, I am a Taurus, so like my practical rituals are also very much important to me and very much magical to me as well, because for each day I'm planning with my planner what will I do, what kind of work on my spirituality as well will I do, if I have a ritual in the evening, or if I will be working on Femme Occult or researching something, or I need to write something down to my Book of Shadows and so on. So even these parts next to the, let's say, common daily things and tasks are also part of my magical planning, let's say, for the day. Another of my morning rituals.
It's very interesting because I cannot imagine doing this in the morning. I plan in the evening because in the morning I feel like my brain is dead.
So for me, it's working this way better. But yeah, everyone is different and everyone can have like the magical focus on different part of the day. Like, for example, standing by my altar, I don't do it in the mornings. I am not awake enough exactly yet for that moment. On the other hand, I can do it even in the afternoon, in the times when I'm very tired. I can still like very easily connect to the divine by my altar. So we shall see, maybe I will write about that in my evening rituals.
I'm looking forward, but back to the New Year's rituals. Do you practice some of them either now or in bulk?
I don't really do any like giving myself any tasks for the next year or this kind of plan. Sometimes I draw 12 tarot cards or runes or Ogam or Stromoculum for like the 12 months ahead. But it's something that I rather just write into my Book of Shadows and then I recall it and reflect it at the end of the year. So it's not like that it would be an oracle and then I would be scared what is coming in April or excited what is coming in June and then maybe nothing will happen. So this is like a little thing that I am doing, but I don't really hold on too many like traditions or superstitions connected to the New Year's. And I definitely do not put on myself any kind of tasks. Like from the 1st of January, I will start doing this and that, because I believe that when someone wants to change in anything or improve in anything, they should do it immediately and not have like a one special day for it.
Yes, I agree, because then it's like I'm starting on Monday and I'm starting next month and then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the New Year's is, at least to me, also very much connected with memories and thinking of like the past. So what is your favorite happy memory from last year connected with Femme Occult?
Yeah, we had a really, really lovely year with Femme Occult the last year. It was exciting. We had like a beautiful collaboration with several artists, and also inside our team it was just perfect. And what was like a highlight, what was really beautiful was, or amazing, was when I met personally with Roda and Papa Ver in Germany, in Berlin, for Occulture conference. That was a really nice time when we just spent 3 days together, only living witchy topics and doing something nice for Femme Occult and for people who want to be inspired. So I really much enjoyed that. That was the best memory. And also, Roda was mentioning in the Czech version of this topic of the podcast that we had some time together also when she was here in the summer and she visited me. So that was also really, really nice. We went for a concert of Heilung and we went to Liège, from where I was writing about the statue of Lucifer in the very first year of Femme Occult. So that was also exciting.
Yeah, I believe you. It sounds very, very amazing. So that was also a very nice interview. Thank you for it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you as well for inviting.
And I wish you very happy new year. Many successes and magical experience and very nice articles and everything you can imagine.
Thank you very much to you and to the people who are listening to our podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to all of you for listening to this very end. Please let me know how do you like our podcast, and I'm looking forward to you in the next episode. And now, if you have an itch, that means you want to give us a like, and if it just got very, very bad, that means that you want to subscribe to us. So thank you. Bye.